added his own words to the card stating that, quote, "I am good at using guns and knives," unquote.
Day and age, the only person, in my opinion, that could have achieved just as great as a legacy as Mike, to me, would have been Chris Brown. I just believe that Chris Brown was surrounded by the circle of creative people that Mike was surrounded by.
Wow.
It's like he got bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him.
Right.
But for my family,
Right.
that's not a gang to me. That's just protecting your own. I think with Chris Brown, I know what he needs. He needs a brother. He should join Omega Sci-Fi like I did. Or, something like that. I could set that.
This one's straight up wild. Chris Brown, the hit maker with those legendary dance moves and that unpredictable energy, is caught up in some next level street drama. And no, we're not just talking about old court cases or petty online beefs. This time, the situation goes deep, real deep. Word on the block is that Breezy allegedly dropped a jaw-dropping $100,000 for gang protection. Not from just anyone, but from Big U himself. Yeah, that Big U, the man folks say leads the feared LA Crips. And guess what? That's just the surface. New reports are spilling the tea on a shocking twist. Over 20,000 wiretap conversations and a high-profile witness ready to spill everything in court. You read that, right? Things are getting messy. And now, the Fruittown Piru gang is being named too. In case you forgot, that set rolls with the Bloods, one of the most dangerous and dominant street gangs on the West Coast. And Big U, he's not just a name in the streets. He's got real weight in the music game too. Behind the scenes, he's been pulling strings, building careers, and allegedly offering protection to major rap stars. So when people start whispering that Chris Brown might be paying Big U's crew for backup, yeah, that's a whole different level of serious. Let's get into the dirt behind this shady setup and what it could really mean for Breezy's world. Let's rewind for a second to really break down how Chris Brown ended up so deep in gang territory. For years, there's been non-stop talk about his connection to the Bloods, and it's not just hearsay. He's been caught on camera flashing blood signs in music videos and all over social media. But here's the thing. In hip-hop, sometimes repping a set is more about image than actually being part of it. Plenty of artists throw up signs to build street cred, make themselves look tougher, or show love to certain neighborhoods. But with Chris, this ain't just for the cameras. His situation goes way past that surface level flex. He's been shouting out Fruittown Piru like it's part of his identity, and the streets have taken notice. Over time, it's become clear that Chris's ties to the Bloods aren't just about clout. They feel personal. From throwing signs in public to getting caught up in altercations linked to gang activity, it's all been documented loud and clear. His connection to the Piru Bloods looks less like a vibe and more like business. Word is that loyalty might have allegedly come with a six-figure price tag, $100,000 just to keep himself protected and connected. But this time, Chris Brown wasn't just throwing casual gang signs, he was making bold, straight-up loud moves, repping Fruittown Piru. Fans clocked it quick, and the internet lit up with rumors that he was paying for protection. While chilling in Hawaii, right before getting locked up, Chris even tagged the words Fruits Piru in a post, like he was staking his claim loud and proud. It looked like he was trying to lock in his spot with the gang for real. No sneak moves. Chris was out here flaunting his blood ties like it was part of his brand. And then came the drama with Jay-Z. Chris didn't hold back. He jumped on Twitter and name-dropped Jay, saying his blood ties gave him the upper hand over Roc Nation's whole machine. That's not just flexing, that's declaring war in broad daylight. Now let's get into Big U, a name that rings bells in both the streets and the industry. If you don't know, Big U is one of the biggest influencers in LA's gang scene. He's been tied to shaping the careers of major artists like Nipsey Hussle and Wiz Khalifa. That's real power. But Big U's reach goes way beyond the block. He's got solid links in the music biz and Hollywood, making him a major player in both worlds.
That's ever really been in LA, he checked in. Any real dude that's ever been in Atlanta, he checked in. If you moving and you getting money, you gonna check in because you need to know the right places to be and places not to be. That's a businessman. So, but shit, some people feel like I am who I am.
Then Whack 100 came through stirring the pot, saying Big U might be hyping how much Chris really paid. Is Chris Brown just throwing stacks for protection, or is he actually tied in with the crew? That's the million-dollar question. And with all the mixed-up stories flying around, the truth stays buried in the chaos. So when word spread that Chris had allegedly handed over $100,000 to Big U for protection, eyebrows shot up everywhere. That's not your average check. That's a serious investment in staying safe. Now here's the real question. Is this just how things roll in the world of LA street politics, or is there something way darker playing out behind closed doors? Some are saying Chris might have paid up, not just to protect himself from outside street beef, but also from pressure inside the industry. That's a whole different kind of threat. In LA, it's no secret that some celebs link up with gangs for security, especially when they're beefing with rivals or feeling that heat. But dropping 6 figures? That ain't pocket change. Makes you wonder, was Chris really in that much danger? Chris Brown's name has been tied to all kinds of high-profile altercations and violent moments, and that's no secret. So yeah, locking in a protection deal could have been his way of keeping the crew around him tight and his safety on lock. But here's where it gets risky. When an artist starts leaning more on street ties than their own team, that's a slippery slope. And that brings up a bigger, messier question. Was this really just about staying safe? Or was Chris getting pulled into something darker? Could it have been a case of extortion? Think about it. Once you start paying out that kind of money, it gets real hard to say no the next time someone comes calling. Now pause. Let's talk about Soulja Boy. Yeah, he's always in the mix with viral chaos, but this time his words hit different. Soulja's been loud about his gang ties, especially with the Bloods. And when he said both he and Chris are connected to the same set, Fruittown Piru, things started to click. He even claimed they were like brothers in the streets, saying both of them paid their dues to the gang. That's no casual connection. That's deep loyalty. Soulja went on to say that when he hit LA, it was the Piru set that embraced him, and that's when he saw firsthand how serious Chris was about his gang ties. This ain't just for show. Soulja's side of the story puts it out there. Chris Brown's link to the Bloods runs way deeper than just throwing up signs or shouting out a name. This goes way deeper than just throwing up a gang sign. It's personal. Soulja Boy didn't just brush off Chris Brown's connection to the Piru set, he backed it hard. According to Soulja, this wasn't about chasing clout or faking the funk. Both he and Chris had real ties to Fruittown Piru before the fame, before the charts, before any spotlight hit them. So when Soulja speaks on it, you gotta stop and think, how far in is Chris really? This isn't just about showing love in a track or flashing a symbol for attention. It's about being tied to one of LA's most notorious gangs through real-life loyalty.
This young man just gave out 500 pair of tennis shoes. And he about to give out another 500 pair.
And if you really listen to Soulja, it sounds like Chris wasn't just trying to look tough. He was tapping into something way more serious. Power and protection. Now here's where it gets wild, the leaks. Word on the street is there are allegedly 20,000 wiretap conversations involving Big U, gang operations, and some major names. Yeah, you heard that right, 20,000. That number is insane, especially considering who might be on those tapes. If those wiretaps are real and trace back to Chris and Big U, we're looking at the kind of evidence that could flip this whole thing into a legal disaster. That's not just rumors, that's potential federal heat, and it doesn't stop there. Supposedly, there's also a star witness lined up to testify in the case. That's a game changer. Someone on the inside, ready to spill everything. If that witness comes forward, it could connect dots that a lot of people hoped would stay buried. So now the big question is, who's the star witness ready to talk? We still don't know who the star witness is, but the streets are buzzing. Word is, it's someone with deep ties to both Chris Brown and Big U. This ain't some outsider. This is someone who allegedly knows all the behind-the-scenes moves. And if this witness is legit, they could blow the lid off the whole situation, exposing exactly how far this so-called protection deal really went and if any laws were broken in the process. If that kind of testimony holds up in court, it could bring major heat down on Chris. We're talking serious legal fallout. especially if he's found to be tied to anything illegal while rolling under the cover of gang protection. Now don't forget, Chris's name has been dancing around gang rumors for years, and then came that wild moment in 2014, the Soog night shooting at one OAK. Soog ended up getting shot during a club fight and later sued, claiming it was all gang related. He even suggested Chris's connections played a role. Whether Soog's claims were real or just part of legal strategy is still up for debate, but one thing's for sure, having your name tied to a shooting and gang drama doesn't exactly clear your image. And get this, if Chris was really paying Big U for protection at the time, that shooting could have been part of something way bigger, a deeper street war over business and loyalty. These kinds of ties don't just stay behind closed doors. They spill out into the real world, into clubs, into the industry, into the headlines. And those tensions, they can turn deadly. Even Akon chimed in not long ago saying Chris's gang ties have held him back from true greatness. Akon straight up said that if Chris had the right creative team instead of rolling with the streets, he could have been sitting on top of the world right now. Akon didn't hold back when he said Chris Brown could have been the next Michael Jackson.
Day and age, the only person, in my opinion, that could have achieved just as great as a legacy as Mike, to me, would have been Chris Brown. I just believe that Chris Brown was surrounded by the circle of creative people that Mike was surrounded by.
Wow.
It's like he got bloods around him. He got little gangbangers around him.
Right.
If he had surrounded himself with visionaries instead of gang-affiliated figures, that statement hit like a punch to the gut. Instead of rolling with creative powerhouses, Chris built a circle that included street bosses and heavy hitters from the gang world. And that's the real crossroads Chris is standing at right now. On one side, he's got insane talent, vocals, dance, stage presence, the full package. But on the other side, he's weighed down by a past filled with legal chaos and alleged gang affiliations that just won't let go. So what's next for Chris Brown? He's still got the skill, no doubt. But the question is, can he shake off the shadows of street politics and finally take control of his legacy? Or are these deep-rooted ties going to keep haunting him? Because let's be real. Once you're wrapped up in stories of violence, extortion, and underworld connections, it's hard to just walk away clean. That kind of heat doesn't just disappear. It lingers, and it sticks to your name. And don't forget, Chris isn't just an artist, he's a brand. His whole image has always been about raw talent, charm, and a vibe that sets him apart. But with this kind of baggage, business deals, partnerships, and future projects could all be at risk. One wrong move, and it's not just the music that suffers, it's everything tied to his name. But if this alleged $100,000 protection deal becomes part of Chris Brown's public image, it could cost him big. Fans might back off, brands could pull away, and record labels won't want anything tied to serious street heat. Nobody wants their name attached to something that smells like criminal activity. So what's really next for Chris? Was dropping all that money a strategic move to stay safe, or just a short-term fix for a problem that's way bigger than we even know? With Big U in the picture and those 20,000 wiretaps rumored to exist, you already know this story runs way deeper than what's on the surface. Chris might be trying to keep it quiet, but the streets are talking, and if those tapes and that witness are the real deal, it's only a matter of time before everything comes spilling out. Will these gang connections catch up to him for good, or will Chris finally cut ties and take back control of his career before it's too late? One thing's clear, this saga is just getting started. Chris Brown's legacy is still hanging in the balance, and only time will tell if he rises above or gets pulled down for good. You already know what it is. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment with your thoughts, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay locked in.